Hello, everyone. I'm joined by Wheats from NRG. We're here to talk about everything for the Stockholm major for OWCS. But before we get into all that, I wanted to ask you: you're in Sheffield right now, Wheats. How have you found the UK, and how have you found Sheffield so far?
It's actually awesome here. Like everyone, when I said I was going to Sheffield, I was like, "What's going on here?" On Twitter, everyone was like, "Just don't go. Like leave. That's what there is to do." And I got here. All the food I've tried has been awesome. So everyone said UK food sucked, and it's been really good. And then all the people are really nice. Like I don't know, it's just been awesome here, and you can walk everywhere. Like I
Yeah.
really like it here.
Have you been out to see much of the town, or like any of the like local attractions or anything? Or have you been stuck
Not
inside?
exactly attractions. I've been within like a 20-minute walking radius of like my hotel and like the office pretty much. So, but we've walked around to a lot of restaurants and a few pubs like one of the first days we got here, and it was very nice. I had a really good time.
All right, a positive review. There we go.
Yeah,
Are you guys are next to the Falcons as well, right?
yeah, we're in the same like facility. Like we're in different office rooms, but we're in the same building. So been hanging out with them a lot.
But I want to ask as well because you've got Attack and Kellan with you, right? Has it been? What's it been like actually having them with you and with the team and on low ping?
Oh, it's so awesome to have them on low ping. It's like it feels like they're like unleashed, like well, at least Cullen, like because it's not too much of an off tank kind of situation. But Kellen on like no ping has been like awesome to see. There would be at least like 3 or 4 fights of scrim where it'd be like we lost this fight because Kellen like ping exploded or like he couldn't primal or something like that,
Yeah.
and he just screamed ping. But now we're all in person and there's no ping excuses, no problems like that. So it's actually awesome to be around them and then just to like get to know them in person because I'm already in person with all the other guys because we're all at Winthrop. So it's really nice to have them too.
I mean, I did want to ask you a little bit about stage four because I think there's a decent amount of overlap between at least the style of comps being played. The stage four, probably one of the most disappointing stages you've really had as a sort of core roster.
Yeah.
What do you think went wrong for the team in that stage?
Uh, I think stage four we just didn't really get the comp like we had to. Like we weren't we weren't like playing the macro good. We weren't playing individually good. Like everyone, like it was really hard. And then uh, I think we just also kind of played bad in the matches because we didn't really do it as bad in the scrims. So I think in the matches we actually played way worse. So I'm not too worried about it. I think we've uh, solved like almost every issue we had. So
How did the team react as well? Because it felt like for this roster in particular, a lot of it has kind of been they've been sort of a team punching up, trying to like maybe qualify and when teams didn't expect them to qualify or finishing higher. Whereas this is the first time there's sort of been you've been expected to do quite well, then fallen. Was there much of a hit towards like I guess the
uh,
mental and attitude to the team reacting to that?
I don't think there was much of a hit. I mean, we were all watching the TSM Nightmare game, and as soon as Nightmare won and we qualified, we're like, all right, that's behind us. We've been given a second chance. Uh, let's go all out for Sweden. Like this is nothing in the past matters now. So I think it literally we were sad for like a day when we lost, and then we watched Nightmare win. It's like okay, no one cares about the regular season. Like let's go do well in Sweden.
And then I wanted to ask about the meta because not just you, but pretty much, well, all the teams have been in Europe, either in a boot camp or they're already here. So it feels like the meta's really starting to lean to a pretty Mauga heavy situation, Juno Brig everywhere, even a lot of Reaper Echo, maybe a bit more variety in DPS. Has that been your experience from the teams you've played as well? And how are you finding this sort of change in the meta?
Uh, yeah, it's definitely refreshing to have like way more diverse meta. It's not like just a beer on every single map like it was in stage four. I think the Juno nerfs and like Arissa nerfs like and some slight Maga tweets like really helped. So
And then, obviously, even though a lot of the heroes have changed, it's still like a brawly sort of push pull meta, lots of big ult fights, all the things like this. What sort of things have you changed from your approach to stage 4 to now your preparation for Stockholm to try and fix some of the problems you had?
Kellan's behind me. I think we've just been a lot more serious about scrims. A lot more serious about scrims. Like full effort every map. Like like all out. Just because rush metas are really like effort in and out of the game. So like in the maps, you have to have full energy. Like the team with more energy is gonna win a lot of the time, and then out of the game, you have to put a lot of time in, like watching after scrims and like talking as a team, like reviewing. So I think we've just improved in both of those areas.
When we think about these big ult fights, is there a player in your team in particular who does most of the sort of shot calling and fight planning when you're trying to figure out these sort of complicated ult situations, or is it kind of spread?
I think obviously Rec is ult tracking, and then UV's doing a lot of the planning, but everyone will plan their own ult most of the time, unless it's like a situation where someone wants to use someone else's ult to get their ult in next, then they'll be like, you do this and then I'll do this, like kind of thing. But I think most of the time it's everyone, but UV and Rack and Kellan are like in on every plan, and then Tree and Scissors are more like, is this fight involving my ult or not? Then I'll be a part of the planning.
As a coach as well, normally when we talk about these macro metas, like you said, there's a lot more review, a lot more sort of, I guess, script to how the fights go or how you want to play certain situations.
Mm-hmm.
Do you feel then, as a coach, you can have more influence on the team and the results than maybe you could in some of the other metas we've seen this year?
Yeah, I think the rush metas are really where you get to like talk to everyone and like really influence the game, because it's a lot less about the micro of the game. And it's less like, hey, I need my Widow to hit a headshot and like their Widow to not kill my Widow, and more about like how we rotate, how we move, how we use ults, how we talk to each other. So I think it's really good for coaches and really good for teams that are willing to put in the extra time after the scrims.
And then I wanted to ask about the tournament itself. We're going to go into the first games on Friday. Your first game is against Crazy Raccoon, which is probably the team nobody really was itching to face first off. How do you feel going into that first opening match?
I don't feel like, I mean, everyone's got to play everyone eventually to win the tournament, right? So you might as well get it out of the way. And I don't think there's really any reason to be afraid, because like, whoever shows up on game day is going to win. It's not like it's not a prophecy or something, like every team can beat every team at these lands. So
is there a different type of mindset you try and give the players before playing a team like this that come in with like such a big reputation, or even maybe potentially tournament favorites, than you would if you were just playing like, say, Nightmare or something for a team that's seen like closer to your level?
I think everyone knows like we're playing against like a bunch of like really legendary players and stuff, so it's not like I have to tell them specifically, like everyone knows who we're playing.
They
it's
know
not,
who they are, yeah.
Yeah, it's like, it's more like, we have nothing to lose. Like, let's go play our best, let's play our game, and we'll see if we can win. That's it.
That first game as well is going to be first to 2, which most people, the general consensus is it kind of makes the series more volatile, right? Because you were
it's definitely.
Do you think that benefits your team, Ben?
It's definitely awesome for us, because if we only have to catch them off guard twice instead of 3 times. Like we don't have to win 3 maps. It's like, it actually makes it so much easier for an upset. So
looking ahead to the rest of the bracket as well, is there any team you particularly want to face or get a chance to beat at Stockholm?
I mean, I want to beat Nightmare because we never got to play them ever, which is probably kind of lame because we're both NA teams, but we live with Infected and have to hear this guy like 8 hours a day, so I really want to beat him.
Put him in his place.
Yeah, I'm hoping we could maybe play them at some point, and that's the main one really, because I think we're closest with Infected, and then every other team I'm just excited to get a chance to play the rest of the world, not just NA. So
You've obviously got a bit of a chance of that as well in scrims since everyone's been boot camping. How do you feel the current power level is between the three regions in EMEA, North America, and the Korean team?
I think, I mean, obviously we don't get to scrim Crazy Raccoon because we're playing them, so I'm not too sure about Korea, but I think EU and NA are pretty like dead even. I don't think there's a huge gap between either region.
And then thinking of a tournament as a whole, obviously, if you can win it, that's the ideal. That's what everyone's aiming for, just trying to win every game as it comes. But is there a certain result or a certain placement in the tournament you'd maybe look back at and be sort of satisfied with, oh, we've actually done a good job there, I'm happy with that?
I think it's less about placement and more about, like, as long as we left all of our effort behind, like we did everything we possibly could have and have no regrets, like that's the main thing that I want to feel after every tournament. Like, you know, you can't like decide to win or lose. Like, you know, you just try your best, but you decide if you're gonna try your hardest in like every scrim and watch the VODs and talk with everyone. So
and then if you can't pick your own team, who would you say do you think is the favourite or the sort of toughest team you've played against so far?
I mean, I think obviously the favorites are like Falcons and Raccoons. Like, it's probably a toss-up. I think the EU and NA teams are all pretty even. I think Toronto looks probably the strongest out of all of the EU and like all the Western teams. So probably look out for them to maybe upset one of the Korean teams later in the bracket, but probably pretty tough still. So I think the Korean teams are just obviously the ones to look out for.
Do you think the level is closer at all in this type of meta? Like, I think the sort of general kind of idea is often that once it gets to a brawly type meta, the Western teams are a lot stronger than they would be in other metas. Do you think there's a sort of closing of the gap with this being such a popular comp at the moment?
I think yes and no. I think there's like a thought where like Western teams are like really good at rush and like Korean teams are better at dive, but I think that's only when like both are meta in their separate regions. I think when rush is meta everywhere, the Koreans still get better at rush than the Westerns do. So I think, I mean, obviously this comp doesn't have as much mechanical skill as like other comps, so it does bring the level more even, but I still think the Korean teams are still, there's a bit of a gap.
I think it maybe especially happens when it sort of becomes hard meta, and then they're sort of forced to play these comps and playing these heroes, and suddenly maybe heroes they weren't traditionally seen as being very strong on or as strong on, they catch up very quickly when they start to play it a lot.
Yeah.
And then if everything was to go right for NRG, you end up winning the whole thing, everything goes right. Who do you think would be the sort of tournament MVP for your team? Like, who would be the person who sort of pops off to...
I think definitely Tree. He's like kind of like Swiss Army knife DPS. Like, he can play everything and do everything, like make water out of wine kind of player. So you know, I never go into any map doubting that Tree can beat the other team's DPS no matter who we're playing. So I think he's definitely like would be our standout MVP if we won the entire tournament.
All right. Thank you very much, Fenwheat. I appreciate you taking the time. Best of luck to you and the guys for Stockholm. I'll see you there, and safe travels and all that.
Yep. Looking forward to seeing you. Thank you.